This is the Cubs Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Chicago Cubs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Cubs Postcast. You're on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't sexy, but a win is a win, and that's what the Cubs got in extra innings against the Colorado Rockies. Joe George here with you. Find me on all social media platforms at Joe George Radio. Matt Shaw, the man of the game in this one. The young rookie sent down to the minors early in the season. And all of a sudden comes up there in the bottom of the 11th, gets the bloop single. There's a lot to talk about in this game, honestly. The walk-off, yes, but the bats were silent. Cade Horton got his first quality start of his career. We saw him go into the 7th. Some questionable decisions by Craig Counsell in this game and by maybe even the players themselves that we're going to talk through as well. But let's get right to our Locked On Player of the Game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
We're going to go 2 for here. Matt Shaw, part 1 of the Locked On Player of the Game here. Obviously, gets the walk-off there in the 11th inning when your offense has largely struggled in this game. You only had 2 guys going into extras with multi-hit games, Ian Happ and Kyle Tucker. Matt Shaw becomes the 3rd of the day when he hits his walk-off. A guy that, again, was sent down to the minors, was not good, and has come up and has been pretty consistently solid is the worst way to describe it, honestly. But he's been good since he came up. He's played excellent third base. From the Marlins series where he had 3 opposite field doubles, he's getting multi-hit games. He's coming through in the clutch. He's getting walks like he did in yesterday's game. Matt Shaw has really changed how the third base position looks for the Cubs right now. Not just offensively, but again, defensively. To come through in the way he did today was awesome. I love seeing a young rookie like that get his big moment. Very cool. That's part 1. Part 2 of this, Chris Flexen is going to be our other Locked On Player of the Game. Pitching in extra innings with the Manfred man is not easy. You're giving a guy on second base, and he goes out there, gets 6 outs, only gives up 1 earned run in the 2 innings there that he pitches in the 10th and the 11th. That's huge to have a guy that can come in the regular season with guys on base and come through like he did. Chris Flexen, very, very good in those 2 innings. Yes, you should have got the win in the bottom of the 10th because you already got through it once. For them to send him back out there, I love that because it means 2 things. Again, one, you have someone you can rely on in that situation, but also just big picture, you feel comfortable to bring in Chris Flexen now. I think we've kind of been feeling this way. He's been really good, honestly, since he joined the Cubs this year. Another one of those bullpen additions that the Cubs made that I think is kind of flown under the radar of the things that they've done. But for him to go out there, get 6 guys out, only give up 1 earned run when you're automatically given a guy on second base, he's the reason why the Cubs were able to win this game because he kept them in it in those 2 innings. We could also talk about Cade Horton here as an option for the Locked On Player of the Game. First career quality start in this one. 6 innings pitched, gives up 4 hits, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. He obviously starts the 7th inning, gives up the home run, is then pulled for Caleb Thielbar. We'll talk about more of that in the second segment of the show. We're going to talk about some of the questionable things that happened in this game that I know people probably want to have a talk about, but he was, he was very good in this start. The strikeout stuff is the one thing that I think has been missing from his game so far. We haven't seen the swing and miss really throughout the season, throughout his handful of starts. But to go out there and pitch the way he did, I'm very pleasantly surprised to what Cade Horton has done so far in his career. And look, the reason why I think pleasantly surprised is the way I want to put this is because you look at what they've done with him is, to be honest with you, they've babied him. This is the first time in his major league career that Cade Horton has pitched into the 7th inning. The last time he did this was at the University of Oklahoma. This is a guy that they have not let go deep into games in the minors ever. They never let him do it. They babied him in the minors for whatever reason. So they clearly decided that today was the day that they were going to let him go out there a little bit more. Now, look, we'll talk about this now because I know people are wondering why is he out there for the 7th if he's only going to come out after one batter. If you don't know Craig Counsell's plan right now, it's very obvious what he does. if there's a righty-righty matchup at the start of an inning, the starting pitcher is going to get one more batter, and then it's going to flip the other way. And Mickey Moniak was coming up next in the 7th inning there. He is a lefty, so the plan was Cade Horton gets the first out, Caleb Thielbar comes in, he gets the next guy, but they flipped it. They did a pinch hitter themselves, the Rockies did. That's why Craig Counsell only had Cade Horton out there for one guy. It's not because he gave up the home run that he was taken out of the game. We've seen Craig Counsell do this multiple times throughout the year where the starting pitcher is just going out there to get one more out, typically so a lefty like Thielbar can come in. So not surprised that was the move they made, but overall, look, this game has a little bit of everything in it. Like it has frustrating stuff that we're going to get to with PCA in the 8th inning. Even the decision to have Carson Kelly pinch hit for Reese McGuire, I think is interesting as well. Like just the thought process that going into extra innings, but more about what we saw in this game. Ian Happ, 2 hits in this game. Hopefully that is something that can really, again, it feels like maybe it started yesterday, but he has been on the struggle bus, right? We all know it. But if he can really get going, it just makes this lineup so much better. And I know the last 2 games versus the Rockies have not been pretty at all, but wins are wins. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if you beat the Dodgers 16-0. I saw that here in the chat earlier on YouTube. And you win these games in extra. A win is a win, and you find a way to get it however you can, especially on a day like this where it's blowing in at Wrigley Field, and it's just the offense is going to be a grind at this point in the season at Wrigley. It's brutal. There's no other way to let it go. No other way to say it. When the wind's blowing in like that, it's tough to hit the ball to the ballpark, and we all know that, and that's what the Cubs, I think, are really going through right now. But Ian Happ gets 2 hits in this game. Kyle Tucker, 2 for 3 with 2 walks. His batting average is back to 285 on the season. So after a slump, he's really brought it on again at this point in the season. So look, Tucker to me is the guy that really is the thing that keeps this thing going. But we also saw PCA have his one moment in this game. And look, yes, he is not, always going to be at his absolute best, but as Tim says here in the chat, good teams find a way to win. And PCA getting that steal there in the 11th inning after the Dansby Swanson strikeout to put him on third base, it's almost the perfect situation for the man-for-man rule, is if you're going to have anyone out there on second base, like that's the guy you want because he can steal third base and all you have to do is get the sac fly and move him in. Instead, we get the Michael Busch check swing single that brings him in, and then it rolls on from there. John Birdie comes in, steals second base, Nico Horner, 4-pitch walk, and then again, Matt Shaw with the blooper and the win. All right, we'll take a break. We'll talk about the 8th inning bunt that we saw from Pete Crow-Armstrong in this game. And just, I have some thoughts on it because, well, I hate it. And I'm curious if people agree or disagree with me on that. We'll get to the next here on the Locked On Cubs postcast on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always be talking to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, you can use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. All right, let's talk about the PCA bunt here in the 8th inning. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Couple reasons. Okay, let's start with this. I get the logic behind it. We'll start there. I get the logic is Pete Crow-Armstrong comes up here in the 8th inning. He gets the bunt. He's the fastest player, one of the 3 fastest players in all of baseball right now. You can get him to second to third, stealing all the bases himself. Instead, he bunts, and it's a pop out to first base. Here's the thing. I think he sucks at bunting. I think it's just the reality. He's not good at bunting. He's great at pretty much everything he does, but he's not good at it. And I get the logic behind why you want to bunt there, because you can put the fastest player on your team on base that can steal 2 bases, and you can get a run there in a game in which your offense hasn't been putting up a lot of runs, hasn't had a lot of success. And going into the 11th inning, they were 0 for 13 in their last 13 plate appearances with runners on base. So it had been a struggle for most of the game with guys out there. So I get it, but I hate the execution of it, as Gus Bus says here. He's great at batting, as Austin says here in the chat. I just don't think he's good at bunting. So don't bunt. Like, he doesn't need to be that guy. Now, yes, he had a tough day at the plate here. We saw the frustration, as Pete, we see from him. He shows it on his body language. We saw him in the ground out that he had in the 10th inning there. He threw his helmet on the ground as he got past first base. He shows that emotion, that frustration. But yeah, he goes 0 for 5 today with 2 strikeouts. Not a big deal. It's one game. Not a big deal at all. But like, I don't need him bunting. He's an MVP candidate this year. Let's go out there and swing the bat. That's all I want to see. Like, I want to see him go up there and try to, find a way to get this thing done himself. I just don't think he needs to do it. So again, I get the logic behind it. I just don't love the idea of having him bunt there. It's just not necessary, I think, for me. And I just don't think he's quite good enough at it just yet. The other questionable decision, besides Cade Horton, again, that wasn't questionable. That's what Craig Counsell does. He brings out the starting pitcher if it's a right-on-right or a left-on-left matchup. You get the first out, and then he brings in his bullpen arm that's been clear cut and dry. Like, that's what Craig Counsell does in those situations. But the other one was Carson Kelly. And look, this is a nitpick here, right? Does it really matter at the end because the Cubs won the game? Probably not. But Reese McGuire is up. We see Carson Kelly for the first time in 3 days because he's got some mysterious illness that's keeping him out of the lineup. Hopefully he's feeling a little bit better. He crushes the ball. Now, in Craig Counsell's defense, if it's a normal summer day at Wrigley Field, that ball is going out of the ballpark, and Carson Kelly is a hero in this game. But I don't love when you're staring at going into extra innings and you're taking out Reese McGuire for Carson Kelly for this reason. Is Carson Kelly becomes the last out of the inning, and you're starting the 10th with Carson Kelly on second base instead of Brujan or John Birdie or something like that, to where you could then bring in someone else. And you can bring in Carson Kelly in the 11th inning and just handle it that way. So that to me would have been the preferred situation of that. But again, does it really matter at this point? No, it does not matter because the Cubs won the game. And again, you find a way to win the game. That's all that matters. And that's what the Cubs did tonight. Dennis says here, tired of hearing any other night that's a home run. Well, that's Wrigley Field. It's sorry, Dennis. That's the reality of watching the Cubs. We all deal with it, but it is any other night. It is a home run. Like, it's the truth. If you look at all the exit velocity and everything like that, that thing would have been gone in that moment. So look, this game, again, it wasn't pretty, but the Cubs did find a way to win the game. So let's go back to earlier in the game here before we wrap. Let's go to the bottom of the third here. Matt Shaw gets and this is where, again, why he's the locked on player of the game is because of this inning as well, what he does here. So bottom of the third, Matt Shaw gets a single. He steals second base. We're seeing his speed be used a little bit more as well. Ian Happ gets the opposite field single. So you got first and third with one out. Ian Happ then steals second base. The Cubs were moving this inning on the base pass. Kyle Tucker walks. This was a really, really good at bat here because this is a guy that is arguably one of the top baseball players that there is. And instead of going out there and just swinging sorry for hitting my microphone. Instead of just going out there and swinging at the pitch, he waits for it. It's a ball. He gets on base. So you get the bases juiced. Seiya Suzuki, the RBI leader in baseball, goes out there, gets the RBI single. PCA rolls it over. But you know what? This is where, again, his speed comes in a huge factor. Any other guy besides basically, it's probably like him, Corbin Carroll, Ellie De La Cruz, maybe O'Neal Cruz, all are out on this play. It's a rollover, but he beats it out at first base. It's 2-0 there. Cubs, he gets the steal. That's the Cubs' third steal of the inning. And Dansby Swanson hit a rocket to the left fielder. And it doesn't land, obviously, but that's where the Cubs got their first lead of the game. So that inning is also very important. Now, I think we focus on the extra inning stuff that happened. But again, that's Matt Shaw. Just like in the end of the game, he's the one that's starting this thing there in the third. So really, again, a very good game for Matt Shaw, just overall, I think there's so positive what he's been to this lineup here. Now, yes, it's been to lower level competition. Like you can argue the teams he's been playing since he's got called up outside of the Reds are largely close to AAA pitching for the most part. And it's not like this guy's going to rake all the time. He's going to struggle at some point again in his rookie year. But it's just been largely really positive for him. Getting on base, getting steals, elite defense at third base. I mean, he looks like another guy. Some of the plays he's having on a night in and night out basis, he's having a real chance to look like he's another potential Gold Glover at third base. We'll see if it continues like that, but he just continues to make plays that kind of just leave me in shock a little bit. This comment's funny here in the YouTube chat. MPA says, glad the Cubs won. Kind of feel bad for the Rockies. I feel bad for Rockies fans, man. That is a 9-win baseball team. It's May 27th. They're 9-46. That sucks. Look, we saw some bad teams over the years. My dad and I had season tickets when the Cubs were losing like 100 games a year. It was tough. Like right before they got really good, obviously, in the 2015 era. But 9 wins on May 27th. I think I do feel bad for them. I agree with the chat here. I feel very bad for those fans. That is an awful product to be watching right now. Don't feel the same way about the White Sox, though. So sorry to those fans. But I feel bad for Rockies fans. All right, that will do it for us here on the Locked On Cubs postcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. Wasn't pretty, but the Cubs got it done in the end, and that's what matters the most. So thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow for another edition of the Locked On Cubs postcast. Matt and Sam will have their show coming up after this, as always. So thanks for watching. We will talk to you tomorrow.